Hi, I'm Greg and welcome to Electric Car Australia, the Aussie EV YouTube channel for those wanting to learn a little bit more about electric cars and also sustainable living technologies. Today I'm talking to an owner of a very rare EV on Australian roads. It's the Honda E, a 100% battery electric vehicle from the Japanese automaker Honda, who unfortunately decided not to bring these into Australia. So even though Japan is also a right-hand drive market and they sell them in the UK, they decided not to bring them down under. So what is the Honda E? Well, it's a stylish, sporty and beautifully made little vehicle, and I think it aligns really well with the BMW i3, which unfortunately BMW decided back in early 2022 to discontinue production of. Now, these little EVs won't suit everyone, but as you're soon to find out, for some people they're the only EV they want. Stay watching till the end of the video and I'll include some details, specifications and pricing on the current Honda E being sold in the UK, as well as some information on a company that's importing them into Australia. But without further ado, let's go to the recent AEVA Cleveland EV Expo that I attended and meet our Brisbane Honda EV owner. Well, here we are with a very, very unique vehicle. I think there's only a couple of these in Australia. So, Dejan,
yes.
I hope I've got that right again. I had
a
couple of practices. So, yeah, the Honda E.
That's it.
Yeah, so you're the proud owner. Would you like to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So basically, this is a private import because unfortunately Honda doesn't sell them in Australia. Disappointingly, of course. It is the only one in Queensland, and there's about 5 or 6 in the country, but only 1 of 2 blue examples. So this is like their premium paint color. Basically, I fell in love with the design when it was announced in 2017 as a concept, and then disappointingly in 2020 when Honda mentioned they're not going to bring it to the country, that dream kind of went away. I ended up in a GR Yaris actually. So
right, okay.
That for 2 years, but in 2021, Nathan, the prior owner, he actually imported this. It was the first in the country, and he did all the paperwork to legalize it. Yep. And when I realized he had one in Queensland, I said, I really need to check this out because this was the other dream car on my list. Yes, yeah. And late last year in December, he decided to list it because he already had 2 other EVs. Yeah, and another project on the way. I hit him up straight away. I said, hey, I need to come see it because the new owner might not let me see it. You know? And that was the first mistake because basically I fell in love with it on the first visit and test drive, and I decided to sell the GR because this was more practical and I needed to fit 2 baby seats in, so it was perfect timing. They are a compact little car, but they're well designed, aren't they? It's so the space that you've got inside, So compared to what I was coming from, it's virtually identical in size, so I didn't see a compromise at all. Yep. I'm a fun car, performance car kind of guy, and this was probably the only EV on my radar. Big Japanese and JDM fan. Yeah. Some of the stats on it, so it's rear-wheel drive, 50-50 weight distribution, so it handles really well. Yeah, it would. Independent suspension all around. 315 newton meters of torque on the rear motor, and it's a 35 kilowatt hour battery, and I get about 160 to 200 kilometers of range on it. So it's basically a town car. Yep. I take it to work and back, and I charge every second or third night, depending on what I need the next day, basically. Yeah. My costs have come down 10 or 12-fold in running costs, and there's no maintenance. It's just a annual pollen filter change, and every 100,000 kilometers you need to change the oil, and there is a gearbox, a single transmission. Yeah. So how do you go? Obviously Honda probably reluctant to have a lot to do with it. How have you found that, or they? So I haven't had any need to go to Honda yet, but Nathan, the previous owner, he tried to reach out, Honda engage, to do it. So he's got contacts in the industry. Yep. And basically they just determined that it's just not something they want to do. No, so you manage that yourself, either an independent EV mechanic and bring in parts. For brakes, you can go to any brake place.
Yeah,
For
obviously.
suspension, you can go to any suspension shop. There's a lot of these examples in New Zealand.
Yes.
So any certain like rare parts might be able to be sourced
You can reach
from there.
out. Yeah.
I just wanted to put money where my mouth was and actually try
Have
it
one.
and see what
Yeah.
a daily EV would be like. A fun one at that.
Yep.
And I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, very good. And it's interesting that you've decided to run with something that wasn't run-of-the-mill and not just off-the-shelf available. Do you know the complications or the length of time that Nathan took to actually get it up to standard and speed? Like, is that something that you'd recommend to other people to have a go at? Or
Well, because this was the first example, there was significant paperwork
Yes.
to do all of that. So I believe he spent a good 6 months to go through that process. So it's an early 2021 build, and it was imported in March, and he had it on the streets here in Queensland in September of that year. So the fact that it's all done now, it's much easier for future buyers.
the second
to
person
bring
to
them
come.
in.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you have to pay for shipping, obviously,
Yes.
and then there's like a few $1,000s in the
Getting your
compliance
plates
paperwork
and all that
and
sort of
whatnot.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Apart from that, it's basically a like-for-like exchange rate.
Yeah.
So at the moment, the Japanese yen's very favourable. So
Now's the time.
It's much cheaper to get one from Japan at the moment.
Yeah.
There are certain differences though between the two models. So
Yes, okay.
this British one comes with the CCS Type 2 charging port, which
Yes.
is more common than the Chatamo.
Yep.
The menu's in English, of course.
That's
the
helpful.
Japanese one isn't. And this has the 240 volt plug inside, whereas the Japanese one will have the 110 volt outlet.
Yes,
so
okay.
that's just more practical for us
Yeah.
in Australia. And apart from that, that's it. So it's
That's
the
it.
spec to get. This is the advanced version. So
Yep.
it's got like the slightly more powerful motor, 113 kilowatts.
Now you've modded it a little bit. You better show us
I have, yeah.
some mods you've done to it.
Basically, I've done the front lip.
Yep.
And that's a
So that's the
genuine
black-
Honda accessory.
Very nice. Just
So
adds that little
I was
bit
trying
of...
to curb my spendings on cars as well with this because it's very limited what you can do to them. So I actually had lowering springs that arrived before I even owned the car.
Right.
So that I kind of committed myself with the springs. And
Yeah, that's nice and tied up.
it's
in there.
dropped
Probably
it
won't
slightly,
see it real well.
30 millimeters all round. And I've put really lightweight Japanese wheels on because I had them on my prior car and I was really happy with them.
Yeah, they look very nice, don't they?
And super overkill titanium lug nuts, but that's because I had them from the prior car and I refused to sell them.
That's right. We can always repurpose those.
Yeah,
to the
so I've
next
gone
one.
an inch wider on the front and rear wheels. And so they're a staggered set. I've got 7.5 inch at the front, 8.5 inch at the rear, and semi-slick tyres. So I'm a big fan of the Yokohamas, and I wanted to try out the AD09s, and they are super grippy, which keeps me safe.
Really, brakes and tyres are two things that are really obviously important. And these ones have the camera, don't they, instead of the mirror?
Yeah, and this is one of the best features you find once you get used to it, which doesn't take much at all. You wonder why they don't
All
make
cars,
them for all cars.
yeah. And I think they will over time, but yeah.
They will, yeah. So the ADR certification made an amendment to the documentation to allow for electronic visual
Aids or whatever.
aids, yeah.
Okay, so
because in the past it wouldn't have been legal because
good
the
indication
wording
it's
was always
coming.
mirror.
Yes, yeah.
So this has 5 screens across the dash, which aren't distracting at all. Actually, they're very practical.
They blend
daily
in.
use.
We had a look inside there earlier, yeah, and it just does blend in really well. They're obviously your
They're
camera
the
mirror
sides, yeah.
wing viewers. So yeah, no,
Unlock
it blends
They
together
should,
very well.
Turn on. There we
There we
go.
go. That one's not a real good shot. Let's have a look over there. Yeah, very good resolution and crisp and clear.
It's got a nice semi-large moonroof.
Yeah, we had a look at that too. We poked the camera in the side and yeah, look at that from the top. Fantastic.
So it's designed to be like as streamlined as possible. The side mirrors
very aerodynamic.
save, yeah, it's 4% of the overall drag.
Very
and,
aerodynamic.
96% less drag than conventional side mirrors.
And you can tell that even the scoop down here still got the wiper, which I think is a practical thing. You could say you could get rid of that,
I'm
but
considering
practical.
deleting that because I'm not a big rear wiper fan at all. That's one of the next items on the list because
it might go.
Yeah, so I've done the illuminated door seals, which were actually significantly difficult to install. Required the opening of the entire dash, but now they illuminate nice blue and they're really
Very
cool
nice.
at night. And these are the Japanese floor mat sets available from the Japanese market.
Fantastic. No, look, it always gives you a little bit more enthusiasm, doesn't it, when you've got something that's a bit unique and you can actually add your own taste to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, thanks very much for your time. Really
Thanks
appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the day, and I know you'll have lots and lots of interest in the car. And all the best with any future modifications.
Perfect, thanks.
Cheers.
I think I'm all modded out though for now. That's what I told the wife.
Have a break.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for another video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if so, please do the usual things to share us some love. And of course, if you can spare us a couple of dollars via a one-off donation or a monthly subscription, please visit the supporter links in the show notes. And a big shout out to our 2 new Patreon monthly supporters. Hi to Greg and Hannah. Thanks very much for recently joining up. Really appreciate your support. Now, I've also included some links in the show notes to the Honda E information that you've just seen, and also a link to the company that's importing them into Australia. So I'd really like to hear your thoughts. Leave some comments in the show notes. Is the Honda E an EV that you'd be looking at? And if so, would you contemplate importing one into Australia yourself, or would you run with the company that's importing them and doing all the paperwork and stuff for yourself? So yeah, really like to hear your thoughts, and also whether you think it is a good link to the BMW i3. So until next time, take care, stay safe, look after your friends and family, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.